Welcome back to Storybook Crochet. In today's video we are going to be making a candy corn. This is really quick and easy to make, and you can make a bunch of these, give them out as little favors, or you can even give them out to trick-or-treaters. That would be cute. So you're going to need some worsted yarn in white, orange, and yellow. You're going to need a 3.5 millimeter hook or an E-hook. You're going to need a yarn needle, a stitch marker, 12 millimeter safety eyes, and then you're going to need some stuffing. You can also make this in the zombie candy corn here. So for that you would need a lighter green, kind of a medium green and white, and a little bit of black to do the detail work here. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab all our supplies and we'll get started. Before we start on the candy corn, I wanted to show you my latest pattern that is available in my Etsy shop as a written pattern PDF file. This is the pumpkin cottage pattern. This is a new series that I'm starting with these wood slices. The next one that I will be making will be a mushroom fairy house. So if you don't want to miss those, make sure you're following me on Etsy and all of my social media, which is Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and then of course here on YouTube. Alright, so starting off with round one, we are going to begin with our white yarn. So you'll want to grab that in your hook, and then you're going to also want to grab your stitch marker so you have that at hand. So for round number one, we're going to start out by making a magic ring. If you're not familiar with the magic ring yet, you can always chain 3, and then you'll slip stitch at the end of that chain to connect it, and then you'll put your single crochets within that ring that you've made. Alright, so we have our magic ring, so we're going to put 5 single crochets in this ring. So you'll just crochet around your ring here and make 5 single crochets. Okay, so we have our 5 made, so we're going to take that tail and we're just going to pull on that, and that will close that opening. Okay, so at this point I grab my stitch marker and I put it in the last stitch of the round. Alright, moving on to round 2, we're going to increase around, and this means that we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So go into that very first stitch there and make a single crochet, and then you're going to go into that same stitch and make another single crochet. So we put our 2 stitches in one. And you're just going to repeat that around, 2 single crochets or an increase in each stitch. So at the end of round 2 you should have 10 single crochets made. Okay, and that's what it looks like after round number 2, and you can kind of start to pop that tip up there, and that will form with each round that we make. Okay, so for round 3, we're just going to single crochet around, so 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Alright, and that completes round number 3. Moving on to round 4, we're going to start out with 1 single crochet in this first stitch here. So make that 1 single crochet, and then in the second stitch we're going to make an increase. So put your 2 single crochets in that next stitch there. And we're just going to repeat that pattern around, so 1 single crochet and then increase. So in that third stitch make 1, and then increase after that. So you'll repeat that around a total of 5 times until you have 15 single crochets made. Alright, so moving on to round 5, this is our last round with our white yarn. So after this, we're going to want to grab our orange yarn. So for this round, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So again, for this round, you'll also have 15 single crochets made. Alright, so we are at the end of round number 5, and we're going to go ahead and change to our orange yarn. So to do this, let's undo that last white stitch there. So reinsert your hook there, go into that next stitch and pull up a loop, but don't finish it off yet. So at this point, I go ahead and cut that white yarn, just cut a tail there, it doesn't have to be long. Grab the end of your orange, and then you're just going to grab that with your hook and pull it through both loops. So now we have our orange yarn on our hook. Okay, so moving on to round number 6, we're going to start out by making 2 single crochets. So when you insert your hook, go underneath those tails there and crochet around them for a few stitches. That will go ahead and weave those ends in for you. Okay, so make your first single crochet and then go into the next stitch and make another single crochet. So we have 2 single crochets made. Next, we're going to make an increase. Okay, so for round 6, we'll repeat that pattern around, 2 single crochets and increase. For round 7, we're just going to single crochet around again. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and this will give you a total of 20 single crochets. Okay, so round 8 will be our last round of orange. So for this round, we're going to do 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and then increase in that 4th stitch. So you'll just repeat that around, 3 single crochets and then increase. You'll do that a total of 5 times, and this will give you 25 single crochets made. We will be changing to yellow at the end of this round. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and change to yellow in this last stitch here. So grab your yellow yarn and go ahead and get that attached. And then we'll move on to round number 9. Which is just going to be single crocheting around. So 1 in each stitch. And don't forget to crochet around those tails for a few stitches. You're actually going to repeat this round. Rounds 9 through 11 are just going to be 1 single crochet in each round. And each of those rounds will again be 25 stitches. So go ahead and complete through round 11, and we will meet back to start round number 12. Alright, so this is what our candy corn should look like so far. We're going to go ahead and move on to round number 12, and this is our first decrease round, so I'll show you how to do a decrease. So we're going to start out by making 3 single crochets. Okay, so there's 3, and then we're going to decrease over the next 2, so we're going to turn these 2 stitches into 1. So I do this in the front loop only. So instead of going under both loops there, you're just going to go under that very front loop. Okay, so go ahead and stick your hook in, grab your yarn and pull it through. Then you're going to stick your hook in the next front loop only. Grab your yarn and pull it through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook at this point. So go ahead and yarn over and then pull that loop through all 3 loops that were on the hook. And that's our decrease. So you're just going to repeat that pattern around. So 3 single crochets and then decrease. Alright, so repeat that around 3 more times, and then we'll meet back at the end of this round, and then we're going to go ahead and attach our eyes. Alright, so to attach our eyes, we're going to go ahead and grab those. These are going to go in between rounds 9 and 10. So you can go ahead and count. So for our first row of yellow here was row 9, or round 9. So in between this and the next round is where you're going to put your eyes. So go ahead and insert your first one. Okay, and then you can count over as many as you want for placement on how much space you want between each eye. I kind of like the little bit closer look there, so maybe about 3 stitches between each. So once you have them placed where you want, go ahead and put your backs on. Alright, like that. And then at this point, I go ahead and grab some white yarn, just a small length is fine. And we're going to go ahead and just line the eyes. So I come up at the very base of the first eye here. Okay, and then I come up, not all the way to the top, but just to the side, off to the side here a little bit, and just add a little highlight there. And then you'll just repeat that with the second eye. Okay, so pull those a little bit. And then to finish that off, I just take the 2 ends and tie them together a few times. Make sure they're good and tight, but not too tight. You don't want to like cinch it together, so be careful of that. Okay, and then I just stuff that into the candy corn here. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of stuffing. You may want to add more before you close, but we can go ahead and get that top part stuffed. All right, and that's what that should look like at this point. Okay, so the main body part of our candy corn is finished. Now we're going to make the base to close it off. So this will start at round 13, and for round 13 we're going to work in the back loop only. So before, when we made our decreases, we went in the front loop. This time we're going to work in that back loop only. Okay, and this is going to create kind of a little ridge here, and that will help make the bottom a little bit flatter. Okay, so for round 13 in the back loop only, we're going to start out by making 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2, okay, and then we're going to decrease, and this time we'll just use those back loops over the next 2. Okay, and that's what that little ridge right there should look like. So just repeat that around. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then decrease. Okay, so after that round, I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing here. You want to make sure it's stuffed pretty firmly, but make sure you don't have it like coming out as you're crocheting, because then you'll end up crocheting it into the stitches. Alright, so add my stitch marker there, and we have 2 rounds left to finish closing. So this time we're going to work our stitches like normal. So for this first one, you're just going to make 1 single crochet like normal, and then decrease. And I still, for my decreases, go into those front loops only. That makes your decreases a little bit less visible. Alright, so just repeat that around. 1 single crochet, and then decrease. Okay, so for the last round, I just do a couple of decreases. So just do 2, because if you do too many, it kind of makes a point at the bottom. So I'm just going to do 2 and then stop there. So 2 decreases, and then I'm going to go ahead and just slip stitch in that next stitch to finish it off. Okay, and then you'll pull that loop up, and then cut a little bit longer of a tail so we can weave that hole shut. Okay, and then I pull that tail through that loop, grab my stitch marker, or sorry, grab my needle, and then to close this off, make sure your stuffing's all the way in. I'm going to go ahead and come up through that, or in through that first little loop there, and then out through the next. And then you'll just repeat that around until it's closed. So in and out, and then that, as you pull that, that will cinch that closed. Okay, and that closes that. And then I just kind of weave it through the bottom a couple times. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and just cut that. And there we have our little candy corn. You can make these in a bunch of fun colors, or just stay with the traditional with these colors. And they're super quick and easy to make. Let me know in the comments how you enjoyed this pattern. I will be doing a few more Halloween patterns here coming up in the next couple of weeks before I switch over to all of my Christmas patterns that I have coming out. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell, because that will let you know as soon as I have a new video up. And I will see you in the next one.